Hi everyone, I'm Miss Lydia from the Boston Library. Thank you so much for joining me this morning for our story time. Today we are talking about bears. So we're going to read some of my favorite bear stories. We're going to start with this one called Bear and Duck by Katy, Hudson. Bear was a bear, and in most ways he was just like any other bear. He was big and furry, he slept all winter, and he ate lots and lots of honey. But in one big way, Bear was not like other bears. Bear's problem was that he wished he weren't a bear at all. He was tired of sleeping all winter, his fur felt hot in the summer, and he was sick of all the angry bees. "Leave me alone," he growled, rubbing his sore, stung nose. "That's it," Bear decided. "I'm done being a bear." Just then, Bear heard a noise, a happy, I don't sleep all winter, or have hot fur, or bees stinging my nose kind of noise. Quack! The sound was music to his ears. So Bear slipped into the line of happy yellow ducks. "Quack!" he chimed in. He watched the ducks' every move. Yes, he could get used to this being a duck. In fact, he decided he was a good duck. Luckily, no one noticed the new duck until Bear let out a too loud and happy quack. "Stop right there, Bear. What are you doing in our line?" snapped Duck. "You don't belong here." Oh, but look at how sad Bear looks there. "But please," said Bear, "I don't want to be a bear anymore. Can you please teach me how to be a duck? Please?" "Well, all right," said Duck. "I guess I can help." And here he has a book called How to Be the Perfect Duck. How to be a duck. Rule number 1, nest building. Step 1, collect twigs and old leaves. Step 2, build nest. Step 3, place egg in nest, sit on egg, keep egg safe and warm. Step 4, under no circumstances should you lose your egg. Oh, but Bear can't find his egg. How to be a duck. Rule number 2, swimming. Step 1, waddle into water. Step 2, flap feet one at a time to swim. Step 3, no splashing permitted. But what is Bear doing? He's splashing. How to be a duck. Rule number 3, flying. Step 1, find perfect hill for takeoff. Step 2, run while flapping wings and keeping beak pointed upward. Step 3, once in the air, crash. Oh dear. This was definitely not going as planned. Bear wasn't good at being a duck after all. Duck felt sorry for Bear. "Don't be sad, Bear. Look, you climbed a tree. Ducks can't do that." Bear felt a little better. He decided to climb up and get that apple for Duck. The apple was very high, and the branch was very bendy. Bear reached as far as he could when, boing! "I'm flying," Bear called out happily, "just like a duck." But inside, Bear wasn't actually happy at all. Flying twisted his tummy, and the landing was far too tricky. Crash! He fell right on his head. "I think I prefer climbing," he told Duck. "Being a bear doesn't seem all that bad," said Duck. "And you make a really good bear. And a really good friend." And there they are, sharing honey at the end. Our next book is called Mother Bruce by Ryan T. Higgins. Bruce was a bear who lived all by himself. He was a grump. He did not like sunny days. He did not like rain. He did not like cute little animals. Bruce only liked one thing: eggs. He collected them from all over the forest. "Good morning, Mrs. Sparrow." But Bruce didn't eat eggs raw like other bears. Instead, he cooked them into fancy recipes that he found on the internet. One day, Bruce came across a recipe for hard-boiled goose eggs drizzled with a honey salmon sauce. So he went out to get the ingredients. First, he caught a few salmon. Then, he collected honey from a local beehive. He liked to support local business, you see. Last, he went to Mrs. Goose's nest to pay her a visit. Are these eggs free-range organic? At home, Bruce prepared the eggs for hard boiling. But the fire in his stove fizzled, so he went out to get more wood. When Bruce came back, he was met with an unwelcome surprise. Mama! All those eggs had hatched. Bruce became the victim of mistaken identity. Bruce wanted hard-boiled eggs, not goslings. He supposed he could settle for buttered goslings on toast, but for some reason, he lost his appetite. Bruce scooped up the little geese and stomped back to their nest. I will have to ask Mrs. Goose about her return policy, he says. Only to find that Mrs. Goose had flown south early. She left a note that said, "Be back in April." Bruce left the goslings there anyway and went back home. But he was followed. Mama! Mama! Bruce was very stern and said things like, "Go away," and "I'm not your mother," and also, "I liked you better when you were eggs." Bruce could take it no longer and became extra grumpy with them, and he let out a giant roar. But the goslings just looked at him. It didn't work. Goslings always follow their mother, even if she is a he and he is a bear. There they are climbing up a tree, and here they are running after him. Mama! Bruce was stuck with them. He tried to make the best of it. He got him a little pool. It was hard work. There they are painting, feeding them, and they're all burping and all napping together. As the seasons passed, Bruce watched the pesky goslings grow older, from annoying baby geese to stubborn teenage geese to boring adult geese. Then one fall afternoon, he saw other goose families flying south. Finally, he'd be rid of those geese, and he could take a long winter nap. Bruce explained migration, but they didn't listen. Bruce needed the geese to leave, so he got creative. He's trying to wing them into the air. Nothing worked. The geese would not leave Bruce. Even when he's trying to fly them away, they come back. Sigh. So Bruce decided to pack some bags and take his geese into town. They boarded a bus and migrated to Miami. Now, every winter, Bruce and his geese head south together. They laze about on the beach in tacky shirts, sipping ice-cold lemonade, while Bruce dreams of new recipes that don't hatch. Oh, but look at that. There's a little turtle that hatched, and he thinks the goose is his mama. And that's the end. We have one more story for today. It's called The Bear Ate Your Sandwich by Julia Sarcone-Roach. By now, I think you know what happened to your sandwich, but you may not know how it happened. So let me tell you. It all started with the bear. The morning air was warm and bright when the bear stepped out of his den. He stretched and sniffed. The scent of ripe berries drifted toward him and led to a wonderful discovery. After a berry feast, the bear curled up in the sunlight and listened to the buzzing of the bees. Before long, he was asleep. By the time the bear opened his eyes, the buzzing had become a rumbling. He was being quickly swept along like a leaf in a great river. The forest disappeared in the distance, and high cliffs rose up around him. Once the rumbling stopped, the bear found himself in a new forest. It was like nothing he'd ever seen before. This forest had many great climbing spots. The trees were still itchy here. He's scratching on a light post. There was good bark for scratching, and the mud squished nicely under his feet. He's running through the concrete. There were many interesting smells in this forest. He's following the garbage truck. But some of the tastiest ones had already been found. Leafy green smells led the bear to new fun. And that is when he saw it. There it was, your beautiful and delicious sandwich, all alone. He waited to make sure no one saw him, not even the sandwich, before he made his move. It was such a great sandwich. The bear loved it, but just as he was almost finished, he heard sniff, sniffle, slobber, snort behind him. He had been seen. Look at all the dogs. The bear was so surprised that he ran out of the park and down the street until he spotted a very tall tree. From the top of the tree, the bear could see his forest. It was time to go home. The waves rocked the bear and he began to doze. When he opened his eyes, he heard the breeze in familiar branches and the birds and bugs' evening song. Well, the bear made it home just fine. So that's what happened to your sandwich. The bear ate it. Do you see whose ears those were? I saw it all. I tried to save your sandwich. I was able to save this little bit of lettuce here. The bear dropped it as he ran off, but I couldn't save the rest. I'm sorry to have to tell you about your sandwich this way, but now you know. Ruff, 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 ruff. Do you think maybe that dog actually ate the sandwich himself? Guess we'll never know. Thank you so much for joining me for our bear stories today. I hope you have a wonderful day and we'll see you next week.